Good morning viewers, I am Dr. Harsh. Today we will discuss the cerebrum, right? Its general features and gyri and sulci. Let's first discuss its general feature. Now as we all know that cerebrum is made up of two cerebral hemispheres, right? They join together to form a one single cerebrum, two cerebral hemispheres. They join at this point. This is corpus callosum, right? Corpus callosum of both the sides, they join. These are actually commissural fibers, right? Association, commissural and projection. We have three types of white matters, three types of fiber, ACP: association, commissural and projection. So right, so these commissural fibers corpus callosum of both sides, they join and they form the cerebrum, right? Now we have three poles cerebrum. If we hold the full cerebrum, this we have orbital pole, we have occipital pole, orbital or frontal pole. This is occipital pole or posterior, and this one is temporal pole, right? How to differentiate between anterior and posterior, frontal or occipital pole? The frontal pole is somewhat rounded than the posterior pole or occipital. See, this part is rounded, this is somewhat pointed, right? So anterior, we have all other structures also which we can differentiate, like cerebellum, which lies posteriorly. See, cerebellum, right? Pons, these structures lies posteriorly, and the posterior pole is pointed as compared to the anterior pole. Anterior one is rounded, posterior pole is pointed. If we don't have these structures, then we can identify on seeing this pointed end as occipital pole and this as frontal pole, right? And temporal we know lies laterally, right? So these are the three poles. Likewise, we have different surfaces, like, so this one is the orbital surface, this one is the parietal, this is temporal, and the posterior most one is the occipital, right? Now let's discuss the border and surfaces. Let's start first with the poles. We have finished. We start with the surfaces. So we have three surfaces. We discuss it individually by taking one hemisphere. Let's hold down this hemisphere, right? So we have three surfaces. One is the superolateral. This one is superolateral, superiorly and laterally. बाहर को पढ़ा है ना ये superolateral. Both of these are superolateral surfaces. When we cut it down and we got these surfaces, this is medial surface. Superolateral, medial surface, and this one, right? This one surface is the inferior surface. This one, right? Inferior surface has orbital and tentorial parts, right? Let's again, I will repeat. This is superolateral surface, this one is medial surface, and this is inferior surface, which has two parts. Front one is orbital part, posterior one is the tentorial part. Right? Now both the hemispheres, as we know, what runs in between these? Falx cerebri, right? Not cerebelli. Cerebelli run between cerebellum, and cerebri encloses the cerebrum, right? So falx cerebri, right? Now come to the borders. Let's start with this one is the superomedial border. Superior medial border separates superolateral surface from the medial surface, right? Superolateral surface. Then we have superomedial border. Then we have superciliary border. So superciliary border is this one, and this is superciliary border. Then we have inferolateral border. Superciliary border is the border which separates the orbital part of the tentorial surface from the superolateral surface, right? And the inferolateral surface is the border which separates the tentorial surface. inferior surface पे दो पार्ट थे ना बच्चे, orbital and tentorial. orbital को जो superolateral surface से separate कर रहा है, that is called superciliary border. tentorial surface को जो superolateral border से separate करता है, that is called inferolateral surface. Similarly, superolateral से भी separate कर रहा है ये, ऐसे ही medial surface से भी ये separate हो रहा है. So this one is called medial orbital border, which separates the medial surface from the orbital surface of the inferior surface, right? And this one is the medial occipital border, which separates the tentorial surface, this surface. If I remove this structure, this surface is the medial inferior surface, tentorial part of the inferior surface from the medial surface. So this one is medial orbital, This one is medial occipital. This one is superciliary border. This one is inferolateral border, right? Now one main border is remaining, one border which is called the inferomedial or hippocampal border. This one is the hippocampal border, where the parahippocampal and uncus, these structures lies, right? So these are the borders. We have 3 surfaces, 6 border. 3 surfaces are superolateral, superomedial and inferior border. Then we have 6 borders, that is superomedial border. Then we have superciliary border, inferolateral border, right? Then we have medial orbital border and medial occipital border, and this one is the hippocampal border, right, which hold these structure. This is hippocampal border, this one, right? So these are the border surface. Now come to the sulci and gyri. So we have different sulci and gyri, as you people are seeing on the surface. These convolutions and fissures, these are termed as gyri and sulci, right? Convolutions are gyri, fissures are sulci, right? So likewise we have gyrencephalic brain or lysencephalic, right? Gyrencephalic is present in the male, in the mammals, like we have gyrencephalic brain, mammals, while the reptiles and birds, they have lysencephalic brain, right? Now we have 4 main sulcus on the brain, 2 on the superolateral surface, important one I am telling, 2 on the medial surface. One is the central sulcus, this main sulcus, central sulcus. One is the lateral, this one is the lateral, right? Stem of the lateral sulcus. This one is the central sulcus. 2 on the superolateral surface. This lateral sulcus is called, this is the lateral sulcus, this is the central sulcus. Central sulcus is called the Sylvian sulcus, and lateral is called Rolando, not Ronaldo, Roland, R-O-L-A-N-D-O, Rolando, sulcus of Rolando. Then we have calcarine sulcus. This one is the calcarine sulcus, visible here, this arched, and this one is the parieto-occipital, right? This is calcarine sulcus on the medial surface, this is parieto-occipital. So we have 4 main sulci. One is 2 on the superolateral surface, one is the central sulcus, this one is the lateral sulcus. Central sulcus is the marking point. In area in front is the motor, behind is the sensory. It is the demarcation for the motor and sensory area, central sulcus. This is the lateral sulcus. On the medial surface we have calcarine sulcus and the parieto-occipital sulcus, right? Now one more, this lateral sulcus, if we see, so it has through 2 rami. See this lateral sulci ramus, this is its ascending horizontal ramus, this is ascending ramus, this is its anterior horizontal rami. It has 3 projection actually, this lateral sulcus. This one is the anterior horizontal, this one is the ascending rami of the lateral sulcus, and this one is the posterior, which continues as its stem of the lateral sulcus. So we have 3 projections of the lateral sulcus, right? Likewise it encloses 3 areas, pars orbitalis, pars triangularis and pars opercularis, right? It will be discussed again in the superolateral surface sulci, right? So this is the projections from the lateral sulcus, right? Now if we discuss central sulcus, I have already discussed. Now let me explain you from this figure, this diagram. See, this is the frontal, this is the central sulcus which I have shown you people. This is the lateral sulcus, right? So I have drawn 2 imaginary lines. One I have extended this lateral sulcus, and one I have extended the parieto-occipital sulcus from the medial side towards this lateral side, right? 2 imaginary lines. So that will divide this whole cerebral hemisphere into frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal, right? Frontal lies in front of the central sulcus and above the lateral sulcus, right? This is lateral sulcus. ये इसके 3 rami. This was the anterior horizontal, this is ascending, and this is the posterior ramus, right? So this one is the temporal lobe, which lies between this lateral sulcus above and limited posteriorly by this second imaginary line, right? Parietal lobe extends between central sulcus and the second imaginary line. Occipital pole lies behind the second imaginary line, right? One more thing is important here is we have a insula or island of Real. What is this actually? It is the hidden lobe, fourth lobe, right? It is a hidden lobe which is called insula or island of Real, right? How we can see it? See here, when we separate the lips of the lateral sulcus, right? We find a lobe here, see. This is the hidden portion of the cerebrum. This is called the insula or the island of Real, R-E-I-L, right? So what is this? It is actually triangle. See here, it is triangular. See, I have drawn here. It is triangular, right? So this is frontal opercula, this is frontoparietal opercula, and this one is the temporal opercula, right? So it is a triangular which is deficient anterior inferiorly. ये देखो नीचे नहीं है ना, यहाँ तीनों side it is surrounded by the operculars, but anterior inferiorly it is opened, right? So this is called Lyman insulae. I have written here Lyman insulae, right? Anterior inferiorly it is open, which is called Lyman insula, right? One central sulcus differentiate the interior into two parts. This one is the central sulcus which differentiates into anterior and posterior part. So anterior has gyri brevia, छोटे छोटे gyri है इसमें, and here we have gyri longia which has long gyri, right? This is all about the insula or the hidden lobe. कैसे देखेंगे इसको हम? We separate the lateral sulcus, then we see a triangular structure which is deficient anterior inferiorly, which is called Lyman insulae, right? So this is the hidden lobe. So this is all about the general feature. Thank you very much, students.